Hello, my name is Amara Sanguni, and today I'll be talking to you about plant-based diets. So these are just a bunch of pictures of me and some things I like to do for fun. The picture on the top right is a picture, or excuse me, the top left is a picture of me in the Speaker of the House's desk, office type thing. Um, that was after I did the flag ceremony for Girl Scouts and the opening of the legislature. I was a Girl Scout for around 15 years. And this project is my last project for Girl Scouts because I graduated high school in May 2020. So this is like the last final thing I'm doing with Girl Scouts. And it's for my Gold Award project. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about plant-based diets, like I said in the last slide. And the reason why I'm going to be talking about plant-based diets is because I believe that everybody should have at least an introduction to other options, other diet choices, other lifestyle choices, rather than just eating what they have always grown up and eaten. Um, because a lot of people aren't introduced to anything other than what they eat in their own household. So I really think that it's important to kind of expand your mind on potential ways of you to eat and also help the environment and other things. When I was a sophomore, actually, I switched to a plant based diet because I was doing a lot of research and it just kind of made sense to switch to a plant based diet. So, yeah, I'll explain more in the next slides. So, let's move on. So, you may be asking yourself, what is a plant based diet? And the textbook definition of a plant based diet is a diet that consists mostly or entirely of foods derived from plants, including vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, and fruits, and with few or no animal products. And it's also important to note that a plant based diet and a vegetarian diet are not the same because a plant based diet is very flexible in what you can eat and not eat and still be considered plant based. Um, so, for example, one of my friends is plant based and he sometimes goes and eats chicken nuggets or like a hamburger or whatever. So sometimes they eat meat, but I'm also plant based, but I never eat meat and sometimes I eat dairy. So it just depends from person to person. However, a vegetarian would never go out and eat meat according to that definition of what a vegetarian is. So the picture on the top right is a picture of I believe it was corn, bean, and avocado kind of quesadilla. It was really, really good and really easy to make, actually. So, and it's vegan. Um, and the picture on the bottom is just a picture of a salad that I made. And instead of putting chicken in it, I put black beans for protein. And it tasted really, really good. I wasn't expecting it to taste good because I'd never put beans in a salad before, but it was really good. So, some of the pros of switching to a plant based diet are that you get to try new things, it's healthier for you, it's cheaper, and it's ethical. The picture on the top right is tofu General So, plant based, obviously. And on the bottom right is a picture of fake meat stuffed zucchini with nutritional yeast on top. If you do make the switch to being plant-based, nutritional yeast is amazing. It can make your food taste like actual cheese. It's really good. So, plant-based diets are healthier for you. Um, Here are just some facts that helped me personally switch to plant-based diet. The first one is that it can reduce your risk for heart disease. by up to 42%, which is insane. That's a huge amount of decrease in potential heart disease that you're risking. Um, it also improves your mental health because of the high amounts of tryptophan and fatty acids. And also, it was commonly found that a well-rounded plant-based diet can work better than Prozac, which is a common antidepressant. So that's something to keep in mind. And the picture on the right is a picture of a quinoa and beet salad. It was really, really good and really, really easy to make. My mom actually made it, but it tasted so good. So, plant-based diets are also, excuse me, also healthier for you because if we look at this chart on the right, um, the first, third, fourth, and fifth number highest causes of deaths in the United States in 2016 were from dietary risks other than BMI, high blood pressure, high BMI, and high total cholesterol. And all four of those things can be very, very, very much prevented by having a well balanced diet. And one of the easiest ways to have a well balanced diet is to go on a plant based diet. Um, excuse me. Yeah. So continuing on to with the healthier for you, this is a chart comparing the average American diet and a vegan diet. And I want to clarify that I'm talking about this presentation is on plant-based diets. However, a lot of my research will be from or about vegan diets because veganism is a lot more strict, concrete set of rules that define what vegans are and what they eat. But plant-based diets are a lot more flexible from person to person, so it's a lot harder to do research on something that's so flexible with every person who does it. So a lot of my research will be from vegan diets or on vegan diets, but it's very relevant to plant-based diets because they're very similar. So looking at this graph, it's the total number of cholesterol that the average American diet has and the total number of cholesterol that the vegan diet has. And I mean, you can clearly see here that the vegan diet has way less cholesterol in it than the average American diet. And that's simply because there's just so much less or no meat at all because it's vegan. But yeah, and if we go back to this slide, cholesterol is the sixth cause. It was the sixth leading cause of death in 2016. So moving on though, plant-based diets are also cheaper for you. According to Forks Over Knives, Forks Over Knives, I should note, is a vegan company. They are, or organization, they promote veganism and try to help as many people as they can to switch to being vegan because it's the most environmentally and ethically friendly diet that you can have. Um, so yeah, but according to them, the average person can save up to $750 per person in their household per year that they're vegan. And so my family is essentially vegan and we save $3,750 on groceries a year alone. And I say on groceries alone because if we go back to, these healthier slides, we're decreasing our risks of dietary risks, BMI, cholesterol, blood pressure, and we're also decreasing heart disease and and not having as good of mental health. So just by being on a plant-based diet, and so by decreasing those risks in the future and in the long run, we're saving a lot of money on medical bills because we won't have the risk of having heart disease or struggling with our cholesterol levels. We're just preventing a lot of potential medical issues by our diets. So let's look at this chart on the right. It's a comparison of split pea soup that is vegan and a ham and split pea soup. As you can see, it is around an $8 difference, which is an insane amount of money extra to be spending on food that's not even going to be benefiting your body, like really at all. You could get a lot better quality nutrients from plants than you could from that ham, and probably for cheaper. So just something to think about. Not only are plant-based diets cheaper and healthier for you, but they're also ethical. Also, before I start to explain all of this, I just want to mention that when I say animal agriculture industry and when I talk about like farms and stuff, I'm only talking about factory farms, not like small farms or family owned or farms or business farms, small business farms, none of that, because those farms are not what I'm talking about at all. So just wanted to clear that. But yeah, I'm going to show you this video in a second, but let's look at this picture on the right. It's a screenshot of a website called the Vegan Calculator, and it calculates how much you've saved in the amount of time that you've been vegan. And when I was, I believe, a sophomore, I was vegan for 6 months. So at that point, I had saved 198,000 gallons of water, 7,200 pounds of grain, 3,600 pounds of CO2, 5,400 square feet of forest, and 180 animal lives, which, if you think about it, being vegan for 6 months and saving 180 animal lives is about an animal a day. That's insane. Like, that was just crazy to me to think about. But yeah, I'll show you this video now. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So many look for you to mix and match on. Adults, kids, everyone knows it's in. Come on. Shop masks for the whole fam. 5-pack for just $12.50. Only at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
Here's what the industrial meat industry doesn't want you to know. That animals we eat are every bit as intelligent as the dogs and cats we share our homes with. In my role at the Humane Society of the United States, I've traveled the country to see chickens, pigs, and other farm animals in all kinds of situations. I've seen chickens play card games. I've seen pigs who've learned how to open doors. I've met with scientists who've documented that fish regularly use tools. Did you know that chickens can recognize up to 100 other chickens? And even humans by face. They hit different calls to alert one another when a predator is approaching by land versus air. That means they'll let out distinct types of clucks if, say, a raccoon is coming versus a hawk. Animal behavior experts now recognize pigs as being even smarter than dogs. They can even play simple video games operating the joysticks with their snouts. The reason the meat industry doesn't want you to know any of this is because though animals on factory farms are as smart and social as the dogs and cats in our homes, they are routinely abused in ways that would be illegal if dogs and cats were the victims. Undercover video after undercover video has documented egregious abuse of animals in the meat, dairy, and egg industries. I'm talking about workers stomping on animals' heads until they're crushed, smashing them into the ground, even sexually assaulting them. But even beyond the so-called bad apples, many standard industry practices are abusive and cruel. Mother pigs are locked for years into crates so tiny they can't even turn around. Egg-laying chickens are forced to live in cages so small they can't even spread their wings. Chickens in the meat industry are bred to grow so large, so fast, it'd be the equivalent of a 2-month-old human baby weighing over 600 pounds. They have heart attacks, their legs break, their lungs fail. In the US, Almost 30 million of these animals are killed for food every single day. The good news is that countless people are starting to reject this cruelty by eating fewer animals and more plant-based foods. There are plant-based burgers and other meat-free meals at virtually all restaurants now, including many major fast food chains. Almond milk, coconut milk, oat milk, all kinds of other plant-based milks are now available everywhere. You can even buy plant-based eggs that scramble just like chicken eggs, but that don't involve animal cruelty. And you don't have to make changes overnight to help. Though many people are becoming vegan like me or vegetarian, others are simply taking steps, like eating one plant-based meal a day, being vegan before 6 p.m., or participating in Meatless Monday. Whatever path you choose for yourself to eat more humanely, one thing is for sure, the animals would thank you for it.
All right. So that was just a really, I really enjoyed that video because it explained everything that I wanted to say about plant-based diets and the ethical portion of it without showing so many graphic images and getting that into detail about it. And well, me not getting that into detail about it, but yeah, that's basically just sum it up in just a few short minutes. Yes, anyways, moving on. Um, so it's also, plant-based diets are also better for the environment. The animal agriculture industry is the second largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. I know it says number one, but um, the reason it says number one is because a lot of the heat and electricity production goes to the animal agriculture industry, but according to this chart, it says it's a number two, so just a little bit. It's just a really, really, really high contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. So just know that. Okay. Every time I do this presentation, this is the part that I mess up because it can get a little confusing. So just bear with me and pay attention. So we're gonna do this together. So the Earth has, all this land, all this space, right? And there's about 50% of it that is habitable land, right? So of that 50% of habitable land, 80% of that land is used for animal agriculture, right? However, the animal agriculture industry only produces about 20% of the world's calories needed to survive. So that's really, really, really ineffective way to be producing food, especially with the increasingly large amount of people in the world. There's just more and more and more people, and overpopulation is definitely a thing, and a need for resources is definitely a thing. And so if we're looking into the future, we're going to, like, we as in like the human race is going to need to really figure out efficient and sustainable ways to make food for everyone that's healthy and nutritious. And you know continuing to eat as much meat as humans do is not going to be part of that plan, because it's just really ineffective and really bad for the environment and really bad for you know your health and the animals and just so many different things. So yeah, moving on though, this is the graph that I wanted to show you. I'll pause for a second so you can look at it and do what you want with it. Um, okay. So also just wanted to note that I feel like a lot of people might know this, but also some people might not. So Cows produce a lot of methane and like in their farts and burps. So when so there's like always an increase for wanting to eat cows and their products. And so the more people who want and who are demanding um products from cows specifically, um the more the animal agriculture industry is going to be like needing more and more cows to fill the supply for the people. And the more methane that's going to be produced. And if you don't know, methane is a huge contributor to greenhouse gases. It's one of the it's huge. um and like right now Americans eat around 89,000 cows a day, which is just insane to me. I learned that the other day and I was shocked. I couldn't think straight for like a week. Um, but yeah, the average cow produces about 200 pounds of methane a year. So if you do that math, that's so much methane. Sorry, I'm trying to process it again. It's just insane. So yeah, if you're gonna try to like cut back on meat and you want to pick like one animal, I would probably suggest cows because one, cow is and beef is like the worst meat for you actually. And cows produce more methane and are more environmentally damaging than other animals. Um, so yeah. So now we're going to talk about the cons of a plant-based diet. Um, with every good thing, there's a bad side. With every that's how it goes with everything. So some of the cons of a plant-based diet is that it can take some time to adjust. Um, you have to try new things, which I put on my pros list as well because I tried a lot of new things when I switched to being plant-based and I did not like some of them, and that's okay. But I know that I'm doing what's best for me and what I believe in, and so that's all that matters. And so if I try something and I don't like it, I just don't have to eat it again. So, yeah. But it can be different for other people. That can be really hard, and that's okay. But yeah, so that's why it's a pro and a con. Um, so it also can require you to monitor your diet kind of closely when you first start. Because if you do a plant-based diet wrong, you can actually cause more health problems, which we don't want. Um, and it can require a lot of change. And I only say that because a lot of people switch from really, really, really unhealthy diets already, from like eating out all the time to making a huge switch to a plant-based diet where they cook at home all the time. So, it just depends on who you are, but it can take a lot to change. The picture on the right is a picture of a vegan shepherd pie that I made for my mom's birthday, her 41st birthday. And I was really excited to eat it. I followed the directions, I made it really well. And I did not like it. And I was really upset because I was really excited to eat it. But that's okay because I just know next time I either need to try a new recipe or shepherd's pie is just not for me. So, but that's okay. You win some, you lose some. Also, another example is tempeh. A lot of vegans and plant-based people who are on plant-based diets rave about tempeh, and it's much healthier for you than tofu, but I do not like tempeh. I cannot eat tempeh. I think it's not for me. I am not the gal who raves about tempeh whatsoever. But that's okay because I tried it many times and I know that I just don't like tempeh, and that's fine. Moving on though. So when I say that it can take time to adjust and it requires a lot of monitoring of your diet, I mean that it's really easy to go to the store and buy vegan junk food, like, vegan chicken nuggets and vegan ice cream and vegan chips and vegan cookies. But it's really, those things are still chips and cookies and ice cream and chicken nuggets, not like actual chicken nuggets, but they don't provide a lot of health benefits, and they're not nutrient rich. Um, they're not as nutrient rich as, you know, sorry, I'm blanking here, but like as a avocado quesadilla. Those are not the same nutrient. They don't offer you the same nutrients, and you obviously don't want to be eating just junk food, because junk food is still junk food. It doesn't matter if it's vegan or not. I mean, yes, vegan junk food is better, but it's still junk food. It's still not good for you. Also, you can get really low in iron, B12, protein, and other nutrients, but those three are the main ones. Um, so the way to combat that, and the way that I do that, is I believe it's 4 vitamins a day. I take calcium, vitamin C, iron, and B12. And um, the protein, I don't really worry about it because I eat a lot of protein in my diet. Um, you can get protein in like beans, and I eat a lot of beans. I eat a lot of a lot of hummus, which comes from garbanzo beans, which have a lot of protein in them, or black beans. I even had black beans for lunch today, like, so I don't really need to worry about protein in my diet. Um, but yeah, just keep an eye on what you're watching, what you're eating, and yeah. So it can also be expensive so along with the plant-based diets can be unhealthy because it's easy to go to the store and buy vegan junk food. That kind of vegan diet will also be really expensive. So, like those plant-based organic crumbles that are lightly seasoned on the bottom right corner are very expensive. So I think they're like $6 a pack, and we use one of those for like one meal for 5 people. And so if you went out to the store and you bought those for like dinner every day for you and your family, that's like $30 on those, which isn't which isn't that cheap, considering you could go to the store and buy like a can of beans or a bag of beans for way cheaper and feed your family that for protein. So, um, also the salad dressings on the top were $6, $8, and $6 to $9, I should say. And a lot of I've found that it's really easy to make healthy salad dressings at home, and you probably already have the stuff because it's just like oils and vinegars and like creamy dressings or like mayonnaise. So like it's really not that hard. Um but yeah, or you could just not buy those name brand ones, but there's so many different ways to save your money on plant-based and vegan food than just going and buying the processed fake vegan food. So some common misconceptions about being on a plant-based diet is that you are always going to be low in vitamins such as B12, iron, and protein, that the food tastes bad, and that you only eat like salads and raw vegetables or fruit, which is not true at all. I've shown many pictures in this presentation alone, and excuse me, the picture on the right is actually a picture of spinach and mushroom creamy Alfredo. Um, it's vegan, of course, and it was really good. And one of my family members who isn't vegan couldn't tell the difference, so that says something about it. Um, and it tasted great. Like there's really no way to explain this without you trying the food, but there's really not that big of a difference in the food that you eat. And if you don't like a vegan thing, you can always try a new recipe, um, or just don't eat it if you don't like it that much. Also, that a lot of people think that there's no way to be sufficient in your vitamins, um, especially like B12 and iron. But like I said in the past, in one of the previous slides, you just take a vitamin every day and you'll be good. And yeah, that it's really, I feel like it's not that hard, especially once you get the hang of it. Once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to do. And I mean, it's just like any other diet, I would say. I wouldn't even call it like a diet, because to me, a diet is like when you like cut back on like carbs or something for like 2 months and then you go back to eating carbs. But like, that's just me. But anyways, moving on. Um, that's all that I have for this presentation. If you want to learn more, here's a bunch of resources that you can use. There's also a link at the very bottom to see a bunch of recipes that I put, or a bunch of recipes for the food that I had in this presentation if you want to try any of that. If you do try it, you should let me know how you liked it. Um, yeah. So on the left is a bunch of documentaries and on the right is a bunch of videos. I don't think that you can't click on them right now because it's a video. However, you will have access to this presentation, so you should be able to just click them right off of there. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned a little bit about plant-based diets, and I hope that you are just in general more informed, and hopefully maybe you consider switching to plant-based diets or just spreading the word. Um, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you just want to talk about plant-based diets, whatever, you just want to talk, whatever, just email me. There's my email. I'd be more than happy to have a discussion about anything with you. So thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.